My name is Alex Walsh, and I'm going to tell you the story of my life. Time, night, around 2 a.m. I don't usually go to clubs, not because I'm old. 32 is still a perfectly social age. It's just not my scene. Loud music, booze, dancing for the sake of dancing. But that night, I didn't want to go home. An empty apartment, a cracked ceiling, and a fridge that only lit up when you opened it. So yeah, I went. The club was called Blue Hollow. The neon cross on the sign blinked like a heart monitor. Inside, it was hot, heavy with sweat, alcohol, and something sweet. Maybe perfume, maybe something less legal. I ordered a bourbon, drank it, ordered another. That's when I saw her. She was sitting at the bar, legs crossed like she worked there. But she was dressed way too well for that. Black dress, bare shoulders, hair like midnight gold. She was smoking, even though smoking wasn't allowed. No one stopped her. I walked up, like an idiot, and opened with a line so cringe I would have rolled my own eyes. Too loud a night to be spent alone, huh? She looked at me. You're right, too loud. Her name was Lucy, just Lucy, no last name. Her voice was low, a little husky. Nice. We talked, we drank, we danced. At some point I felt like I was living someone else's life, confident. Like next to her, I could do anything. "Want to come back to my place?" she asked after 2 a.m. had come and gone. "Sure," I replied, way too fast. She smiled. "Only if you drive." I had more to drink. The road went through the woods, suburbs, a couple miles past the highway, then an old loop through a tree line. Headlights caught twisted branches and pale road signs. "You always take guys home from the club?" I asked, trying to sound joking. "No, I usually don't take anyone home." She looked at me like she was trying to figure out whether I believed her. "You seem quiet. That a good thing? It means you're probably not a psycho." I chuckled. She gave a slight smile. We were nearly at the turn when a sudden jolt slammed into the side of the car. Noise. Metal. I lost the wheel for a second. We slid left, barely missing a tree. A flat tire. We stopped. I got out. Darkness, just the headlights cutting into it. "You okay?" I shouted toward the car. Lucy didn't answer. I walked around the hood. She was already standing on the other side, face pale as paper. "What was that?" Her voice shook. "I don't know. Probably hit something sharp. I'll check the trunk. Should be a spare." "Please, hurry." I opened the trunk, found the jack, dropped to one knee by the wheel. The cold asphalt cut through my jeans. That's when something cracked in the bushes. I froze. "You hear that?" I asked. Lucy nodded. "That wasn't the wind." A growl. Low, guttural, like a wild dog with a throat full of metal. Something burst from the dark, past the headlights, straight at us. I couldn't even tell what it was. I felt the hit, like getting slammed by a truck. My skull split with pain, and everything went black. The last thing I saw was Lucy screaming. Then, nothing. My phone woke me up at 6:43 a.m. "Carter, got a homicide out in Lake Ridge County. Wooded area, old service road. Patrol's on site, but they won't touch anything till you show up. It's bad." I didn't ask questions, just got up. Pants, shirt, holster. My daughter was still asleep. My wife turned over and murmured, "Be careful." I kissed her on the temple, automatic, already picturing the scene in my head. Blood, shocked faces, someone unable to speak. When I arrived, it looked textbook. An old Ford Fusion, tilted awkwardly off the roadside. The woods around were thick, like something out of a fairy tale. Only here, there'd be no happy ending. Victims female, early 20s. Multiple stab wounds. 15, at least. Some look post-mortem. I nodded. And the driver? Alive, in shock, barely talking, no blood on him, hands are shaking. Name's Alex Walsh. I walked over to him. He was sitting on the back of the ambulance, hunched over. Wouldn't meet my eyes. Fists clenched, staring at the ground. Alex, I'm Detective David Carter. Can you tell me what happened? He nodded, slowly. Then, froze. We were driving. Late. I don't know. The tire. Then something was there. An animal? She screamed. I didn't see. Did you kill her? He looked up. His eyes were kinda hollow. No. I swear, I would never. The coroner's team pulled up just then. I glanced back. Someone handed Alex a bottle of water. He drank, still trembling. And in the car, the body had been placed, not tossed, not panicked. Set down, quiet, deliberate, not an animal's work. This was human. And right then, I felt it. This wasn't random. This was just the beginning. Interview room, Lake Ridge County Station. The room is plain. Gray walls, metal table, 2 chairs, a mirror with people watching on the other side. The coffee smells like bitterness and unease. Alex Walsh sits across from me, wearing a county-issued t-shirt. The veins on his neck are still pulsing. He's pale. Doesn't look like a killer, but the blood in the car, her blood, was everywhere. Did you drink? I ask casually, like I don't care either way. He shakes his head. 2 bourbons. At the club. That was, 5 hours before. You remember driving out there? Yes. Lucy, she asked me to drive, said she'd had more to drink. I said okay. You know her last name? Pause. He looks at a spot between my eyes. No. She never told me. So you drove a girl home whose name you barely knew, after 2 bourbons, through the woods, at 3 a.m.? He swallows. Yeah, I know it sounds stupid, but I lean forward. She what? She was different, I can't explain it. The way she looked at you, like she saw right through you. I scribble something on the notepad, loudly, on purpose, let him feel it. Interrogation method. Number 1. Silence after confession. Let the words hang. Let him hear his own story, without filters. So you stopped because of the flat tire? He nods. Yeah, I got out. She stayed in the car. Then I heard something in the bushes, and a hit. I blacked out. You sure it was a hit? Yes. I mean, it felt like it. When did you wake up? He blinks. I don't know exactly. It was still dark. Lucy. She wasn't there. I thought she went for help. I called out. Then I opened the trunk. And his fists tighten. She was inside. So you didn't kill her? No. He stands up suddenly, chair toppling, hands shaking. I raise a calm hand. Alex, sit down. I'm not accusing. I'm asking. He sinks back into the chair, breathing hard. I'm sorry. I didn't do it. Interrogation method, Number 2. Shift to empathy. Tone change. Warmer, worn down, like I'm tired of all this too. Look, Alex. I'm not a judge. I'm not a DA. I just need the truth. If you're protecting someone, tell me. If someone else was with you, if you picked up a hitchhiker, I need to know that now. He stares at the floor. You scared of someone? He shakes his head. No, I just don't understand how this happened. Right. I open the folder, slide a photo toward him. Lucy, in the trunk, chest to abdomen, clean slice, face peaceful, almost like she was asleep. Alex squeezes his eyes shut. Look at her, Alex. You knew her for a few hours, but you were the last person to see her alive, the last one to touch her. I place the photo in front of him. He pushes it away with a shaking hand. That wasn't me. Someone else. Was there? In the woods. An animal, or a monster. A monster. You didn't hear it. The sound. It wasn't natural. I lean back. Interrogation method number 3, provocation. Or maybe she said something. Laughed, rejected you. These things happen, Alex. I'm not judging. He turns slowly, his eyes different. Not rage, not guilt, wounded, betrayed. You think I'm a monster? I think you were one of 2 people there that night, and one of them's dead. Long pause. He whispers, What if I'm not alone in here? What do you mean? What if there's a part of me I don't remember, something inside that scares me? He taps his forehead. I've had blackouts since I was a kid. Therapist said it was trauma-related. I thought I grew out of it. Interrogation method number 4, the hook. I open part 2 of the file, 2 past reports of violent outbursts in college, 1 altercation. Case dismissed. You've seen professionals? He nods. Do you trust yourself? He doesn't answer right away. I want to, but I can't be sure. And that's the key. He's willing to believe he might have done it. I stand, close the folder. Then, we'll continue later, with a psychiatrist. For now, you'll be in custody. He doesn't argue, doesn't yell, just looks me in the eye and says, If I did this, it wasn't me. It was the other me. I step out of the room. Behind the mirror stands a rookie agent. He asks, What do you think, sir? I pause. A liar? No, sir. I mean, is he innocent? I wait, then finally say, I didn't say he was innocent. I said he wasn't lying. 4 months after the arrest, I was brought into the Lake Ridge County Courthouse. The courtroom was packed, all the faces blurred into one, gray, dull, judging. I sat there in the orange jumpsuit, in a body locked down, but my mind was still back in that night. The grass, the fog, the scrape of claws, a scream, my head slamming into metal, the smell of blood, before I even saw it. It stayed in my nose, permanent. My lawyer, Miss Patterson, leaned in and whispered, Don't look at the jury. Chin up. Let them see your eyes. In court they spoke about her, about Lucy, like she was a saint. She didn't deserve to die like this, the prosecutor said, gesturing to the crime scene photos. I didn't argue. She didn't deserve it, but I didn't do it. My psychiatrist talked about memory blackouts, intense dissociation, childhood trauma, impulsive shock response. I stayed quiet. No one cared about the truth. They wanted a reason, and I was the only reason left. The defendant was found in a catatonic state, the prosecutor said, with the victim's body placed in the trunk. No signs of struggle, no witnesses, no attempt to call for help. He looked straight at me. Do you know why? Because he's the killer. Because he's a danger. And because deep down, he knew it. He just got tired of hiding. It was too much. Too close. What does he know about me? About holding myself back when my father hit my mother. About waking up in closets with no idea how I got there. About the way Lucy looked at me, not like a monster, but like a man who finally thought, maybe he's not alone. And now, this man talks like I'm a thing. I clenched my fists under the table. Ms. Patterson placed a hand on my shoulder. Alex, stay with me. We're in control. We weren't. The judge called me to the stand. The room went still. I stood up, slowly, walked to the box. Mr. Walsh, do you swear to tell the truth? I do. The microphone hissed, like it knew I wasn't about to say what they wanted. Describe what happened that night. I closed my eyes. Not for drama, to gather it all, like frames on a reel. We were driving. She laughed. We talked about music, about childhood. I felt like I wasn't alone. Then the tire blew. I got out, and then the sound. I didn't even have time to. Didn't have time to what? I swallowed. To understand what it was, or who. You're claiming something, or someone, attacked you. And when you woke up, Miss Lang was dead? Yes, the prosecutor rose. Mr. Walsh, care to tell the court about the fight with Jake Aldridge in college? I blinked. You were suspended. He lost teeth. You claimed, and I quote, I don't remember the moment I hit him, correct? I looked at the jury. They weren't looking back. They were looking at their decision. Yes, that was years ago. But not the only time, was it? The judge allowed him to continue. You have a history of outbursts, Mr. Walsh, aggression, memory gaps, and now, a dead girl. What should we believe? That a monster attacked you, or that you are the monster? Click, like a switch in my skull. You don't know what you're talking about, I said quietly. Oh, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I've seen men like you, polite, quiet, smiling. Then, snap, and someone ends up dead. He turned to the jury. He's not some beast from a fairy tale. He's a man who can't control himself, and that makes him dangerous. Click, I snapped. Shut up. The table screeched forward. Security moved. Ms. Patterson backed away. I stood there, breath sharp. You don't know anything about me. They grabbed me, bent my arms back. I didn't fight. I just said what I needed to say, but it was enough. The judge slammed the gavel. Order in the court. Too late. The jury's faces had changed. Doubt turned to fear. My moment was gone. 3 days later, the verdict came. Guilty. Sentence, 25 years. No parole. In my cell, I sat, calm, like it was inevitable. 25 years ahead. But most important of all, I'm no longer afraid of the thing inside. By day 3 of my sentence, I was already thinking, prison doesn't smell the way you think it would. Not like sweat, not like rust. It smells like containment. Held back sweat, held back screams, held back pain. The air presses on your chest like a hand. They put me in Block D, the high observation unit. Not because I was violent, but because I could be. Smiley Psycho, one of the intake guards, called me. My cellmate was Brian, huge, bald, butcher's face. He didn't ask what I was in for. He just said, if you don't snore, live. If you snore, die. Fair enough. On day 3, I got my first welcome. 2 guards, Martin and Latour, took me into an empty room. They said the camera was busted. Told me to strip to the waist. The pat-down was just ritual. Relax, Alex. We got our own rules here, one of them said, twisting my arm behind my back. They hit slow, not in the face. Kidneys, ribs, knees. Heard you broke down in court. Let's see what happens when no one's watching. I didn't scream, didn't make a sound. At some point, I felt calm. Pain's a reminder you're alive, but it doesn't mean you have to stay human. Day 4. Brian asked, what do you do when they beat you? I count the hits, and then, I remember who threw them. He grinned. You've got dead eyes. I like that. Day 15. Head of security, Major Kimball, called me in. You're quiet, too quiet. That's suspicious. I stayed silent. By now, most new inmates have either a shattered jaw or a broken mind. You've got neither. I endured. That's not a virtue. That's potential. He stepped closer. If you snap, you'll be in isolation. 3 months. Concrete box. No books. No sound. Just you and your voices. I looked him in the eye and said, I know them already. Day 23. Brian came back pissed. They confiscated his care package. Effin' pigs left me gum and a Time magazine, he grunted. That night, I woke to a snap. He was standing over me with a piece of broken plastic. I just need a reason, he said quietly. I sat up, no fear, no words. He lunged. I didn't think. I struck first. Fist, throat, then temple, then again. Then I grabbed his head and slammed it into the floor. Once, twice, and only when he started wheezing, I stopped. Later. Interrogation room. Major Kimball tossed photos onto the table. You dropped Brian in 9 seconds, concussion, 3 busted ribs. I sat still, unmoving. Why didn't you kill him? Because he stopped being a threat. You realize that sounded like an executioner, not a man? I just told the truth. Pause. He smiled. Psychiatrist's log, excerpt. Patient Alex Walsh exhibits shallow affect, rationalized violence, and a lack of fear toward punitive measures. It's likely something has shifted from survival to control. Cell, day 40. I stare at the ceiling. The bruises on my knuckles are healing. I no longer hear the whispers of fear inside me. And you know what I feel? Silence. Pure. Even. Like fresh snow on an untouched forest. By the time you think you've adapted to prison, it reminds you what you really are. It started like any other day. Chow line, gray tray, lukewarm oatmeal, and 2 boiled eggs that tasted like chalk. Brian was gone, moved to psych. No one said why. No one asked. I sat alone now. Men here didn't talk to me unless they had to. Not since the fight. Not since the night I broke Brian like a crate of old bones and stared at the blood on the floor like it wasn't mine to clean. They saw it in me. Something that couldn't be trained or predicted. Something even I was starting to fear again. That morning the guards were switching rotation. I was cuffed, as usual, walking between units. Just transfer for medical. Nothing new. But on the way, someone shouted, "Hey, psycho, still hearing voices, freak?" The voice came from cell 42. New inmate. Younger, big mouth. No idea what he was poking. I didn't answer, didn't turn my head. Another voice joined in, sharper, crueler. Bet he liked slicing up that girl. Probably made him feel like a man. That one hit bone. I stopped, briefly, just long enough to hear the laughter echo behind me like oil poured on water. The guards didn't say anything. One even smirked. They knew what they were doing. That night, something changed. I don't remember sleeping. I don't remember closing my eyes. Just silence, then darkness. Then, waking up, blood under my fingernails, my pillowcase torn, my knuckles raw, and a scream. The lights were already on, my door already open. 3 guards, stun batons ready. I was on my knees, hands in front of me. I didn't resist, didn't ask what happened, because, deep down, I already knew. Infirmary report. Inmate Jamal H., cell 42, suffered blunt force trauma, lacerations to the scalp, fractured orbital bone, and partial loss of left ear. Estimated time of injury, between 2:10 and 2:30 a.m. There was no footage. They lost it. Convenient, but they knew it was me. Everyone knew. I had found a piece of metal from a bed frame, sharpened it against the floor, waited for lights out, popped the hinge on my own door. Silent, methodical. The staff said it was premeditated aggression. The psychiatrist said it was dissociative reemergence triggered by unresolved trauma and sustained isolation. I said nothing, because I didn't remember doing it. But I remembered feeling nothing when they showed me the photos. And that was worse. They threw me in the CU, Special Housing Unit. 23 hours of isolation. 1 hour of air, alone, caged. No books, no clock, no conversation, just concrete and silence. But that silence wasn't clean anymore. It was sharp, like glass under the skin. Day 9. I started talking to myself, not out loud, just with my breath. Whispering things. Words that weren't mine. Sentences I didn't recognize until I heard them. You're not broken. You're the correction. They fear you because they should. The worst part? That voice wasn't scary anymore. It was reassuring. Day 17. I began drawing on the wall with blood from my knuckles. Just lines, symbols, shapes that made sense only in the dark. A guard came to check the cell. He looked once, then looked away. Didn't say a word. Day 28. No dreams, just flashes. A girl screaming, a flashlight, a man in a mirror that wasn't me, but had my smile. Day 41. Psychiatric review. They wheeled me out. The doctor, gray hair, too clean, asked how I felt. I said, I feel honest. He paused. Honest about what? About what I am when no one is watching. When they finally released me back to general population, I didn't speak for 4 days. But something had shifted. The inmates looked at me like they looked at the cameras, with suspicion, with distance, with silence, and for the first time since I came here, I preferred it that way. Pain's a reminder you're alive, but silence is what teaches you who you are. I wasn't angry that night. I was something far worse, calm. 10 years later, the morning felt peaceful, almost stupidly peaceful. Coffee, eggs, the smell of Claire's shampoo. The radio mumbled something about weather and stocks. Sarah, my 6-year-old, ran through the house laughing. I watched her and thought, if life ever tries to say sorry for what it took, it looks like this. It was just a morning. Then the phone rang. A landline. In 2025, that's like a flare. People only call it when they need you to hear it. Hello? Silence. I'm listening? Still nothing. Just breathing. And then, I'm coming for you. A whisper, calm, confident. Not a threat, a fact. Then, click. I stood there holding the receiver like it had just fired a bullet. Coffee boiled over on the stove. I didn't move. A few minutes later, I called Jerry, my old partner. He's still locked up? Who? Alex Walsh. Yeah, Wisconsin Supermax. Why? No reason, just old case came back to mind. I lied, and for the first time in years, I felt fear. Real, heavy, sticky. That evening, I got home from work. Claire wasn't answering. The house was quiet, too quiet. Car, in the driveway. Door, ajar. First thing I noticed, the silence. Not cozy, not domestic, but wrong. I went inside, living room, pillows scattered, lamp knocked over. Floor, one of Sarah's dolls, leg torn off. Fridge, magnet broken on the floor. I ran upstairs, empty. Bed unmade, window cracked open. Phone still here. Claire's wallet, on the dresser. I sprinted downstairs, checked the backyard. Nothing. Then I saw the note. On the floor in the hall. Handwritten, red marker. Too late. Now it's your turn to see for yourself. I called the police. They arrived in 9 minutes. At first they acted like it was routine, until they figured out who I was. Then, radios lit up, phones, orders, protocols. I handled it all myself. Cold. Detached. Autopilot. A young lieutenant, Martinez I think, asked, "Do you think this is tied to an old case?" I looked at her and said, "Yes, and I know which one." 2 hours later, it was officially logged as abduction of law enforcement family, priority level red, active threat to reporting officer. I sat in my car, and for the first time in 10 years, I had no idea where to go. Night. Not the kind with a breeze and stars. The other kind, where the city feels scorched, where windows stare out, hollow and dead, and the hum of the refrigerator is the only thing reminding you the world hasn't ended just yet. David sat in the kitchen, his t-shirt soaked with sweat. A cigarette burned out between his fingers. Ash scattered across the old wooden table. His hands trembled, but he didn't notice. In front of him, a black and white photo. He stared at it like it was a window into a life he'd forgotten. In the photo, him, Emily, Lisa. A sunny day by the lake. Lisa holding a little plastic boat. Emily, in a hat, laughing, and him, smiling. A real smile, unforced. He touched the photo with the tip of his finger. "Where are you?" The wall clock still hung above the fridge, but its ticking had long since vanished from his awareness. His mind, empty, no sleep, no voices, no hope. They'd been missing for 2 days, and all he had, an abandoned car on the highway, and a name embroidered on the headrest. Alex. The phone rang, a spike to the chest. David jolted, grabbed the receiver. "Hello?" No reply, just breathing, slow, heavy, like someone was calling not from the other side of the city, but the other side of life. He gripped the phone tighter. "Who is this?" A pause, and then a voice, low, hoarse, wet and filthy, like it had been dragged the first to Trisamo. "Qui faut-il? Damn tu si j'aime senno. Won't. Can't you say it to cloth? You want to know where they are? Then let's go. Back to where it all began." The line went dead. David sat frozen for a full minute, that voice still echoing in his skull. Then, he stood, fast, like a current had hit him. He stepped over to the dresser, opened the bottom drawer, pulled out the holster, checked the pistol, full mag, keys, wallet, the family photo. He slid it into the inside pocket of his jacket. He paused at the door, just for a second. His eyes scanned the room that once held laughter, now, only silence. He turned off the light, locked the door, and drove. No GPS, no signs. But David remembered. That road, that bend, that cursed feeling that you hadn't just turned off the highway, you'd turned off your life. He was driving toward the place where one story had ended, and another had begun, 10 years ago. "Where are you?" he whispered. And in that exact moment, the headlights caught something in the dark. A car. Engine running. Door cracked open. He slowed down, got out, looked around. Silence. The forest was still, deep as a starless abyss. The car sat idling at the roadside, headlights glaring, engine humming low. David stepped forward, carefully. Peered inside, empty. Only the keys, still in the ignition. "Alex," David shouted, "where are you?" A branch snapped in the woods. He froze. Another snap. His right hand went to the holster. He felt the gun, clicked the safety off. "Alex, if this is a game, I'm not playing." Silence. Then, a roar, harsh, animalistic, and something burst from the bushes, a shadow, humanoid, but not human. It all happened in a flash. A dull thud, a lunge at his throat, the blaze of gunfire, 3 shots. The thing collapsed onto the asphalt. David stood, gun shaking in his grip. He stepped closer, then again. On the ground, a man, filthy, clothes torn, eyes glazed, mouth agape, a knife in his hand. David dropped to a knee, checked for a pulse, gone. Only then did he hear it. Screams, a woman's voice, a child, crying. He ran to the trunk, threw it open. David, Emily, Lisa, alive. He pulled them out into the light, clothes torn, covered in dirt, but their eyes were clear, their faces, alive. "You found us," Emily trembled. He said you had to see the truth." "Who?" "Alex." Then David looked back at the body on the road. "That's not Alex." "Alex, he kept us in a shed. He came every day, gave us food, water. He said he'd only save us once you were ready to see the truth." David couldn't feel his legs. All the years, the interrogations, the conviction, the prison, the mistake, the attack had been real. That thing, that animal in a man's skin, had done it. David loosened his grip on the trigger and wept. Alex no longer lived by dates. He lived by firelight, by the smell of burned bark, by the sound of his own footsteps on frozen ground. He didn't speak, only listened, to himself, inside, to the world, outside, and yet, there was only silence. He had built himself a shelter. Not a home. A home had once existed. Back when he drove to that cursed nightclub. Now, just a dugout, earth and air. Sometimes he remembered. The woods, the girl, the impact, the blood, the interrogation, the trial, the cell, the shouting, the screams, the spitting, and the aloneness. Real, bone deep. But he didn't feel anger. Alex had long outgrown anger. He simply survived.